Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Power Half Hour Unstoppable Business Owner. And I am your host, Dorothy Odell. Tonight, I have the distinct pleasure of bringing up Mr. Greg Bicknell. Greg, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing? Good to be back.
Good. Yes. Sorry, guys. We were having Heartland Helping Hands come on, but some things happened. Not sure what, but so instead, what better way though to bring back Greg? Because Greg, there's been a lot of different things going on with Camaraderie Rescue Mission since we had the 24-hour fundraiser back in October 7th and 8th, which was absolutely phenomenal, huge impact. A lot of different people, a lot of different awarenesses. But tell us about some stuff that's been going down in Florida, because I know it's exciting.
Yeah, one of the cool things that happened. So we had Memorial or Veterans Day just went this past, on the 11th. But on the 8th, I had an individual, Miss Nicole Madigan, that reached out, and she's part of the Tampa Bay Lightning group sales team, and she wanted to help us out. And so we were able to get 140 plus individuals out to see the Tampa Bay Lightning, to watch them play on the Military Appreciation Night, which was really cool. But on top of that, we were able to get this family. It was a dad and then his two sons and another person they brought with them, one of their friends, down at ice rink level, on the ice in the penalty box to watch warm-ups. And so they just loved it. And then one of the folks, his name's Mark Rothenberger, he kind of works, we're forming this partnership within Camaraderie. He's connected to a lot of different folks like the Sea Scouts and a lot of things that do with water and sailing and boating. And he brought his family out, and it was his daughter's very first time ever to go to a hockey game. And so I said, hey, there's a chance that you could get on the Zamboni and go cruise around and, ride the Zamboni and get to be on the ice and kind of do it. So he was all for it, right? And so they got to go down and do it. And so now he's like, Greg, you've killed me now, because my daughter thinks that's just part of going to a hockey game. So he said, it was her first Florida. Now, how do you beat that? So it was just a cool experience. We had a lady that brought her daughter in. She was able to push the button, the Tesla power. I always mess this one up, but they hit the buzzer going into the third period, which was really cool. Unfortunately that night, the Lightning didn't pull out the win, but what they did for the veterans and all the folks in this community was just terrific. They always put on a great show. It was just a great night. And then they put Camaraderie Rescue Mission. We got to make the big billboard. So we felt like we were big time, and I called it there for a little bit. It was pretty cool. And then we had an auction with some of the items that they donated, some sticks and all that. And we made, I don't even know if you know this, Dorothy, but we made, we did pretty good on that auction. We were able to sell a couple of items for $100+ dollars. And so the tally's still coming in, but we were able to put some money in the bank using what they donated. So not only we get to have folks, go and attend the game, we were able to actually auction off some things from some of their key players. You'll see actually one of the items you can see it over here. That jersey, that's an all-star jersey, right? And so if you see, that's from Stamkos. And so that jersey was actually signed by him. It's his all-star jersey from 2018. And what's neat about that is one of the guys that bid on that jersey is part of the Polk County Veterans Council. And so he recruited me, which, from our past experience, it doesn't take a whole lot to recruit me to help veterans or anybody else for that matter. And he recruited me to be part of the Flight to Honor Lakeland, where coming up here in a few months, they're going to fly folks out to DC on a day trip and then bring them back. Just a really cool event for the veterans that participate, as well as the sponsors. I think they call them guardians. They may call them. I always mess that name up. But we're going to work on the welcome home when they come back, kind of make sure that we kind of end the day on this great note. So it's just been it's been a really, really cool couple of days or a week or so. So we got another event, and I'll kind of wrap up on this on what we have going on next. Is on the 10th of December, working with Eric Anderson. He owns Extreme Horsemanship up in Webster. And what Eric is doing is he has said, you know what, come on out to our place. He's got a lot of horses with water and all the cool things that we like, and just this great open space with an arena for the horses and all that. And as you know, Camaraderie Rescue Mission, Heroes, Badges, and Warriors, we like horses, barbecue, and water. And so he has two of the three, and I'm bringing the barbecue, right? So we're going to have all of those things come together. And it's not necessarily going to be your standard typical retreat, other than the fact that we're going to get away from life's, kind of daily pressures. We're going to come together, and with this group, there are a lot of providers that are going to be there. And we're going to get to sit around and talk about, what's next. How do we move forward? How do we team up to come together? Blue Guardian Network's going to be there represented. Semper Modus is going to be there represented. So we've got Camaraderie Rescue, Heroes, Badges, and Warriors is all going to be there to look and see what we can take the next step, along with St. Pete Salt Works. I believe Mark is going to come out and just see how we can come together collaboratively to keep making the area better and to keep providing, for those out there that maybe are looking for some services or just looking for some friendship and some camaraderie. So yeah, really cool stuff going on.
That's awesome. So is there still room for the event on the December 10th?
We're at the beginning, we were going to have where it was going to be a complete camp out. Now we're going to make it an option if folks want to stay the night. So the biggest, the final, thing at the end of the night is going to be that cowboy campfire, we all get to kind of sit around and get to know each other. And so there's going to be an option to stick around. Honestly, I think if we look online, if you go to tcrmi.org and look at our events page, I think it's actually on the main page. When you click on it, I don't think I put a number on it. Now, at some point, I may have put 20 because after that, we don't want to go in too crazy out there and folks just running everywhere on Eric's place, me included. I got to have some adult supervision, right? And so I think around 15 to 20 is our number. But again, it's going to be a day of really being with the horses, just being out there amongst nature, kind of being around the water, and then just getting to talk to the folks that are around. And then in the evening, we'll come together and kind of have that fun time, the discussion, maybe a guided discussion on, okay, look, this is kind of what the palette looks like. You're seeing all of the events because we're going to have a barbecue dinner and saying, look, here's what the palette, we're in nature. We're out here with some fresh air. We're out here with water. We've got the horses making the noises. We can hear them in the background. Probably some other sounds of nature we'll hear around out there too, in the woods or whatever. And I just want to set that environment to really set up 2023. That's really what this one's about. But the biggest part, again, is just getting to know each other. Right. Getting to truly sit down, break bread, look at someone and say, hey, this has been a neat day. But this is some of the things I've been seeing in our local communities. And here's what I think we can do to engage even more so than what we've already been doing. So, yeah, I think there's room for a few more there.
That's awesome. So is that Giving Tuesday auction still on, or is that
closed? The Tuesday auction's closed out. So we had it close out on the 13th. And so, we learned some lessons, when we start doing the auctions on maybe how to advertise a little differently than we did this time. But that's what it's all been, this whole thing with the nonprofit, as anybody will tell you, a business or whatever you're doing. Every time you do something, you learn, okay, that was really great site, okay, advertising, maybe we'd do it a little different. So it's just one of those things that as we go through, it is over now, but we do have some more things I've got in the kitty that we're going to put back up. And then maybe some things that are more closely related to what you might want to get someone for Christmas. And we'll see how all that goes. Some of those are still looking to come in, and once we do that, we'll put the other auction up. But for now, yes, it's closed out.
Okay, but there is still an opportunity to help Camaraderie Rescue Mission because we did our 24-hour live event. However, that still continues to go. We have a $300,000 budget that needs to be funded, and so far I think we're at 1230 with that, plus some of the plus the monies that you guys raised at the auction, but every dollar is counting at this point, and so we still need your help. Unfortunately, veterans are still needing these programs. Yeah. The suicide rate has not dropped, and that was our mission: is to out here give those our veterans hope and camaraderie, and to really be there for each other, and that was what helps fund our programs.
Yeah. Let me kind of jump in. I'll jump in a little bit here because I want to really break down. So you see that number, it's like, what is that going toward? Like, really, what is it, right? And so as you guys know, there's a sailing trip that's involved, right? We do the trip to Dry Tortugas, go ship does the work. We provide the people and try to help provide the funding, right? And they have the two captains down there, Captain Perry, Captain Steve. They have their boats, Tulin and Ghost Ship, and they do this amazing trip that goes from Key West out to the Dry Tortugas. Well, that that, as you might imagine, isn't very excuse me, isn't very cheap. And really, to make it happen, depending on gas prices, we'll just kind of roundabout number to do a 7-day trip. You're looking at about $1,000, per person that goes on it. And this is from two people that really donate their time to make it happen. Donate their own personal living quarters because they both live on the boats that they donate. And so we try to help fund that to make sure that when they do it, their input ends up being their boat and their time. And so we help pay for that trip. Now, what you may not, if anybody out there is familiar with the book, it's called Blue Mind. If you think about water, this is what I want folks to envision. You may just think, oh, it's just a sailing trip. It's way more than that. And when you go on something like this, you truly realize exactly how therapeutic it is, right? Because we have this chat called Crew Chat that the folks that come back, we chat on that on a fairly regular basis, right? And we post pictures and, hey, how's everybody doing? And it's very interactive. But what it does is when you get out there, for one, you're on this, 58 or 54 foot by 17 wide sailboat for a week. You get to know your buddies, next to you, and really get to understand what they're going through and get a chance to talk. But you're almost on like a mini temporary duty assignment. I don't want to call it a deployment, but a temporary duty assignment, right? And you really get to learn what it's all about. But when I think of water, for me, I thought about this. Happened the other day. Someone asked me, and I was like, I can't think of a single time to where I was around water that I wasn't smiling or I wasn't having fun. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
maybe in the snow or something like that, because I don't really particularly like cold weather. But even at that, even if it's frozen water, like going to the skating, going to the hockey game, I kind of joked and I said, well, it's still water. It's a water event. It's frozen, but I can't think of many times where I've been around water that I say, man, that was just a terrible time. And if it was, it's very few and far between, right? And so that's one of the things and when you're out there and you got that salt water, you got the sun, you're getting all the vitamin D that you can possibly handle. You're around a bunch of folks that have experiences. They've kind of went through some of the same situations, been in some of the same locations. It's a different type of building friendship than just going to a 1-day event because you work together. Now, when you're on these sailing trips, like I said, Captain Perry and Captain Steve, they don't have a full crew. We are the crew, the people that are on. So you not only get to go on a sailing trip, you really get to become part of a crew on a sailing ship and on someone, and you're, sending up the sail and doing all these kind of things. So it's not like you're just sitting there. You're busy, you're making sure things are going right. You're kind of experiencing whatever might come at you, and you're all making it work. So you're really part of a team more than it is just sitting there kind of cruising along. And it becomes neat. And you're eating dinner together. You're telling stories, you're laughing and joking, and it's just a great experience. So that's part of the money, and that's a pretty large chunk. Because if it was up to us, we would send 10 people out every single month. Which, if you could do quick math, that's $120,000 right there by itself. And then we have some protocols that we do, trauma related. That in order to do those, you're looking about $150 a person to do those. So you multiply that by whatever number you throw at it. And I could just go on and on with different things. We do the retreats. When we do the retreats, depending on what they are, depending on whether it's at a horse ranch, depending on whether it's at cabins in the woods or whatever, on average, the food is obviously the most expensive, like what we're going to do up at the place on the 10th of December. Probably the food's going to be the most expensive thing that we end up doing because we're going to feed everybody at least 2 meals, and then maybe around 3 meals if we feed everybody out the next morning. But again, it really just depends on what it is. If you're going skydiving, that's going to be expensive, right? If you're going sailing, just the food, that's a big part of the expenses. But gas is a huge expense. So that number's a round number, but it enables us to fully fund our 12 months for next year. And when we go to look at it, we are looking at grants. We look at different things, but we put that out there because we're not trying to hide anything. We're trying to show where the money goes. We're trying to be very open and saying, look, here's what it is. And I don't mind talking about it because it's one of those deals that realistically, the money that comes in, there's nobody that's a part of Camaraderie that takes any type of paycheck. There's nobody that's part of camaraderie. That what we get to experience is what the individuals and the people that come and do our events, we get to experience the change, and we get to experience who they are when they showed up and who they are when they left. And then if all works out well with this trip that's coming up, or with this event that's coming up on December 10th, we have quite a few alumni that are coming back. And that was kind of by design, I'll say, because it's the end of year, but it wasn't specifically designed that way. But I do want to hear what they have to say and like, hey, how's your life changed since you went through it? Because at the end of the day, what I hope to happen is once we get this thing and we're 10 years in, maybe 5 years in, maybe 2 more years in, is that we have these big rallies where we have alumni and we're filling up a stadium. And we have all these events and all these people, and we got 50,000 people that come in, but it's all these people that have went through these different events, these different nonprofits, these different retreats that they've gone through, but they've all come out the other side of them a different person, maybe with some changes, and come through and they have a different heart. Maybe they have a different mindset. And now we come in and we make sure that those folks don't go back. And 2 weeks afterwards, they revert to who they were before they showed up. And so we want to always keep those connections. And that's part of our 3 pillars is connect, support, sustain. We always want to stay connected. We're going to keep supporting so that we can sustain life and sustain the people that show up for as long as we possibly can. And hopefully that's throughout the rest of their life.
Right. I found the ghost ship video that, let's play that because I feel that, that, let me see if I can get this to work first of all.
Okay. Yeah, it's cool. Like, there's a bunch of them out there, but they all kind of give you a feel of what goes on that. Yeah, this is the ladies trip. So we've done one ladies trip that was on this one, and they had a great time. I think the captain said they would much rather have the ladies because they were a lot more fun than the guys because we just kind of sit around and they were out singing songs and doing all kind of cool stuff. But they were giving us a hard time, but all the trips have been great. But the ladies trip, they all came together and just had an amazing time. You guys can't see it, but you're looking at kind of what goes on out there. Right here they're over at the Dry Tortugas around Camp Jefferson, jumping off, going in open water. A lot of folks I know I had a buddy that went on the trip I went on back in October. He had never been in open water and he's paralyzed on part of his body. And to see him out in that was amazing. And then as you're cruising past each other, the Tulin and the ghost ship, they really go back and forth, and we mess with each other as we go by. I know that's hard to believe with a bunch of veterans, but it's just and that water, you can't replace that. You just can't imagine what that does for the body and the soul when you're out there, walking along the coastline. I believe that's out there at one of the beaches on where they were at the Dry Tortugas there by Fort Jefferson. And then to see that from the boat side, the sunrise and sunset, it's just cool. So that what you saw right there, well, here we go. We're doing some swimming there on the hookah rig right there, which is really gives you the ability to put that the regulator in your mouth and go down. I think it's about 25 feet that you can go down, and you can go swimming and go underwater. So that was something that was donated actually by a past participant and a very big supporter. And so it's just one of those things that people continue to give back, which makes it so amazing because folks go on this trip and say, you know what, I want to make sure other folks get a chance to. And there you go, Operation Odyssey, outdoors. They're out of Kentucky. The Soldier's Heart, Bluegrass and Muddy Waters, they're out of Western Kentucky. And then, of course, I'm originally from Kentucky, which was kind of how I got connected to these guys. And on our first trip that we ever went on, the Soldier's Heart, Bluegrass and Muddy Waters actually offered me up a couple spots to come out just as a friendly gesture. They asked for nothing. They just said, come on out and we'll do it. And we got to go. And since that day, I'm like, man, I always want to make sure this thing keeps going. It's such a great trip.
Right. And on that trip, our very own Kimberly Genovese was on that trip,
Yeah, he was.
and our coach, one of our one co-chair, and then our executive
Executive director.
director Molly Clarkston was actually on
Mm-hmm.
that boat trip. So I mean, um, yeah, and like Greg said, I mean each time we send somebody, that's $1,000, and we will never charge a veteran for that.
Right.
So that's why it's very important that you go right now to the tinyurl.com/hope for vets to donate. Like we said, every dollar counts. The more funding we get, the more people we can help, which is our definitely our main purpose here. You know, the slogan "Leave no man behind" or "No woman behind" is definitely what each and every one of us on our board
Mm-hmm.
live and breathe by. You know, and that's the whole purpose of why Greg started this organization,
Mm-hmm.
was to help as many men and women as possible.
Yeah, and let me explain something just real quick here is, some of these events that you'll see is like, man, that's a pretty big trip. But in that trip, it opens doors to so many other things. When you have that, it's kind of like, that stored potential versus something that's in motion. As like for me, when I was struggling, going through some tough times, as soon as I got that first, or when I asked for help, and then I got that first offering, and someone was there, and I'm like, okay, I can trust these people. It just opened the doors to so much more. And so a lot of things that you'll see with the horses and all these kind of things, those are things that I kind of said, I didn't kind of, but these things are working for me, and I know they'll work for other folks. Like with the horses, I always say this, that and a lot of horses don't let you lie. And when I was going through some struggles, I wish I'd had a bunch of horses around me sometimes instead of some of my friends, because the horses would have looked at me like, "Come on, bro," And some of my friends were like, "Oh, you're good, man. Let's press."
Yeah.
And so it's something that we continue to try to build on in every event we learn. And then, like I said, with Molly, our executive director now, before that, she had never truly been a part of another nonprofit, and she came in and hit the ground running, and she became part of the board. She did very well there, and then she quickly elevated into the executive director with all of her great ideas and way forward. And that's just kind of how it happened. As folks experience some of this, and they realize, man, I need to share this. I just want to keep this to myself and go home and go back and in the house and just kind of hold up. I want to share this, and that's kind of what Molly was there doing.
Mm-hmm. And that's why it's so important, for these donations, so that we can keep these programs going, and so that we can help more. So please feel free to go to tinyurl.com/hope for vets to donate today. um, you know what, no donation is too small or too large. For those corporate donations that need your tax receipts, still your tax receipts for the end of the year to get your tax write-offs, we definitely would appreciate you. Some corporate sponsors with that would be amazing. It goes towards helping veterans, and it definitely goes towards giving hope back and saving lives for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of the big things that we're looking and we're pressing toward now is, we've had this sponsorship, we've had this um, partnership, I'll call it too, with Freedom Boat Club. And one of the things that we want to do personally, inside of not just to have the raffle that we've been doing, is that we want to be able to get a membership of our own, right? Because with the 350 locations worldwide, and with all the travels that we all do, and the different parts of the country, we want to set that up to where we can take as many vets out as possible. Because again, it's about connecting with them, right? And so, with that, over a year's time period, we're looking, after you pay the monthly fees and all that, we're looking for, it's looking like around, I'm going to say $10,000. I'm not going to try to do quick math in my head, but it's pretty expensive, but the biggest part is that initiation, the initial down deposit, or yeah, the initial deposit that you put to become part of your membership. And so we personally, as Camaraderie Rescue Mission, we're trying to get that as part of our own thing that we can do to help us expand the areas in the state of Florida. I think there's 95 boat clubs alone, and we do a lot of events in Florida, right? And so nothing more than we would like to do is to be able to meet up on Saturdays and take a whole, a big pontoon boat full of people out to go fishing or just boating, or maybe some of the things that we do as far as in the clinical aspect with the counselors and things that we work with, that we have within an arm's reach and a phone call away. We can go out there and bring folks out into nature and kind of do and get to know those folks. So not only do they have a chance to get some treatment or to get some advice or to get some counseling, they can do it in a manner that's a little bit different than your typical office setting. So we're looking to do that as what we want to add as part of something that we do for the vets and first responders in the area. So we don't always, I'm a vet. I always talk about the vets so much, but our services extend far beyond veterans. It's also part of the first responder, but yeah, we're trying to make that happen. That's something we want to add in 2023 is where we have access to be able to take folks out on these sailing trips. Is what we're already, trying to do. But we want to add something that we own, that we can set the time frame, and that we have access, because with Freedom Boat Club, they make that thing say, we do the maintenance, you bring the fun, because with them, you show up, you make a reservation on their app, you go out, you come back, you pay your gas, they do the cleanup and all that stuff, and take care of that, and you go home. And that works out really well for a day event for us, because at the end of it, we just have to make the reservation, and then everybody has to show up, and then we go have our fun. We come back and we all walk away, and there's no 2 to 3 hours of boat cleanup afterwards for the person that invited everybody over. I'm sure most boat owners can really understand that. So it's something we really want to add, and we think it'll really be something that takes us into the next level. So something that we're really pushing for this next coming year to be able to fund.
Awesome. Yes. Super exciting. Finishing off 2022 with a bang here. And, our last outing on December 10th for this year. So if you haven't already, or if you want some information, go to www.tcrmi.org to get that information for there. And to make your donation, you could either go to there or to thetinyurl.com/hope for vets as well. It's a powerful way to give back, with Veterans Day just being last Friday. You don't really realize how many people have actually served until you're like scrolling social media, right? And it was interesting to watch all the men and women in uniform, and children. They're children too, serving. So
let me give you, Dorothy. Let me give them an example of what happened, and this may be something that I could go into a different. But we went on this. We did the hockey night, right? And after the hockey night, probably, let's see, the hockey was on Tuesday, and so on Sunday, one of the individuals that went on those, and obviously I'm not going to say their name, but they were having a rough day, and they gave me a call, and it was late on Sunday night. They had, had a few to drink. They were having a rough time with some life situations, and they called, and that's what we're hoping for. We don't claim that we fix everything, or that we're miracle workers or all that stuff. We just say that we're a ear to listen, or someone to maybe give a different opinion, or resources to provide if it's beyond what, I'm qualified and trained to do. But this individual called. We talked about some life situations. Before you know it, we're having a good time and laughing and joking. I make sure he's okay. And, and the day, that evening moved on. We were on the phone for quite a while. And when it was all said and done, the guy was in a good state of mind. And the next day I texted, "How are you feeling? Everything good today?" And he said, "Well, it's a good day. I would like to say my head's not hurting, but it is." Honest guy, honest answer. And, but he was like, "Hey, thanks for picking up the phone last night." And it all started with a text that says, "Hey, are you around?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm around." He's like, "Well, can I give you a call?" Like, absolutely. And so that happened a mere 5 to 6 days after that night. So those are the things that we don't normally talk about, but I just wanted to kind of pinpoint, as long as you build those connections and people don't mind calling you, and I'm humbled and honored every time somebody does. And we just want to make sure that when we build those connections, folks know that they have more than just one person to reach out to. Now, maybe they have a whole group of people or a whole team. And that's what we're here trying to build.
We even have a Facebook page on Facebook, Camaraderie Rescue Mission, go there too. It's a whole community that, we're there to serve you as well, whether you want just to talk to somebody, or whether, you just have uh, something you want to post there for other veterans. We do
Mhm.
have that capability as well. So if you guys are interested
Yeah,
in
go
that.
there. I gotta, go there. I gotta build that thing back up. We have 1,000 people in there, but just like with everything in life, when you, so this is what happened is in May, I had to take a knee myself because I was just burnt out. We had done so much in an amount of time. And when you're on Facebook or you're on any type of social media, you go there and you got all these things are posting. And then I wasn't there to really keep growing it or keep making my responses or doing the post. And we kind of took a lull and now we're starting to ramp back up. But it was something that, when you need to take a break, when you reach out to it, somebody will respond. We've
Mhm.
made sure that more folks have access to it, more folks can respond when people reach out and call, uh, that we're able to say, look, okay, this isn't within my comfort zone or this isn't within my area of expertise, but hey, I know these 3 locations. Hey, I can get you to this. Oh, you're looking for a service dog? I got canines for wards. Okay, you need something for this, we can connect you. And that's part of what we do. And so we built a really good network, very strong network full of a bunch of great providers. And we just keep that rolling.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Greg, for the half hours up here.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in and stepping up for us.
Yeah.
Appreciate you as always. And don't forget, for those of you that would like to donate, go to tinyurl.com/hope for vets to donate.
Yeah.
And I just, as you can tell, I've spent the last 10 months of my life with veterans, and Greg was the catalyst of that. And so that's why I'm really passionate. And anytime I can get Mr. Bicknell on the show, we do so because it helps. If it helps one person, then, that's what we
Yeah.
do. We're
Yeah.
here to help.
We exceeded that this year. So we did. I'm very happy with where we're at. I think we all are. And we just want to keep growing that every year. And Dorothy, this year's been an absolute blast. I think it was January when I came on, and here we are in November going into December. And it's just, my love for what you do and what you bring to the table has just grown immensely. The fact that you're still here, hanging on, and just putting it out there and not being unashamed of what you're doing, that really, really, really makes me excited for where we're going and how many people we're going to help. Because at the end of the day, we're kind of trying to be the conduit to get people help. And it really is the people that we're trying to reach, not necessarily our faces sitting here on TV or on this streaming. It's about who we're trying to get after. So I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you've been doing. And I know it's going to continue because your passion is evident in your post, in your face, in your everything that you do. And I do appreciate that. It means a lot to me personally as well as professionally.
Absolutely. Our pleasure, for sure. For sure.
All right.
Thank you so much. And I just want to thank our sponsor for today's show, which is Be Oily with Bonnie. Definitely for all your essential oil needs, contact her. Go to www.beoilywithbonnie.com and she will hook you up. The woman's amazing. There's some essential oils there that can help you no matter what you've got going on. So definitely reach out to Bonnie. And with that, folks, just want to thank you for joining us. Thank you for those of you that are hit on the replay. And till next time, we'll
Yeah.
see you.
We'll
Be
see you.
unstoppable in all that you do. Bye for now.